trick in Stick War can save up to 2 seconds per repetition, yet no one is even going for it. Stick War is a side-scroller PvE game where you have to defeat the enemy statue before they destroy yours. Whilst there is a method to the madness of speedrunning the game, it is one of the most RNG dependent runs of all time, requiring players to spend considerable amounts of time resetting for the optimal luck to align level to level. Mechanics such as fast mining, one-way backstabs, or playing badly on purpose all play their part in making the game as consistent as possible. But there is one mechanic that theoretically saves loads of time and can make the game so much safer, but in practice the opposite is true. And that trick is juggling. Juggling is a technique where you attack with one of your units, and then at the same time when the game registers the damage, you switch control to another unit to deal damage with them as well. The reason this trick works is because when you're given control of a unit, they take 80% less damage and do 3 times the amount of damage. To give an example, look at what I do to these approaching units. As the first unit is dying, I immediately switch to the second unit to attack. In fact, you know that the juggle worked, because this unit that I'm attacking wouldn't die if I didn't control the sword raft. We can use this trick on tanky enemies, which would require multiple attacks to kill. The earliest form of juggling can be traced back to level 9 and level 12, where the player summons as many sword rafts as possible to attack an enemy giant. Because the giant is very big, and we have lots of units, some of them will go behind the giant to attack. That's where juggling comes in. When the giant attacks, he stuns the attacking sword rafts, as well as dealing large amounts of damage. Before the giant's attack goes through, the player can select a unit behind the giant to continue to deal boosted damage to it. It is likely that someone thought of this strategy long before speedrunning the game was discussed, and even though other methods have been discovered to optimize the killing of giants, the former was one of the first meta strategies in Stick War speedrunning history. For the rest of the levels, however, juggling is a gimmick strategy that isn't even worth it, due to the sheer difficulty of controlling multiple units at once, and the luck-based element involved with the trick. This is because the sword raft has 4 different attack animations, 2 fast and 2 slow, and based on the animations you get, entirely determines on how you do the juggle at the statue. Because each of the animations have a different frame at which the damage actually gets registered. And even if you successfully juggle, it seems that the enemy Archidon at the base is more likely to headshot your team if you happen to use juggling, which completely negates the time save for your hard work. Well, there is one exception to the rule, and that is the 6th level in the game, Magic Hill. A few years ago, it was discovered that if you use the second sword raft to kill the Magic Hill statue, while the rest of your army distracts the wizard and its minions, it would increase the consistency of the level to around 90%. This is because if you use the firstmost sword raft, the Archidon at the base will follow you to the bottom row. And you need to go to the bottom row so that the Magic Hill don't stun you. But since we're using the second sword raft anyways, why don't we get the most out of them? As you approach the enemy statue with your front sword raft, move up slightly to dodge the incoming arrow, and then come back to the middle. Keep attacking until the second sword raft approaches. When the second sword raft approaches, attack him with the front, and then when you see that you've dealt the damage, switch to the second sword raft and attack with him too. Now hold S in space to attack with the second sword raft, as well as slowly but surely making sure he goes downwards so that eventually he's on the bottom row. If you see that you're getting trash attack animations, you might have to stop entirely and go down to the bottom by holding S. When the Magic Hill push comes through, they are very likely to stun your enemies, but not the guy you're controlling because you're at the bottom row. If you perform the strategy correctly, not only do you beat this level with the 90% consistency rate promised earlier, but on average, you save around 2 seconds compared to the second sword draft strats. Although these results can suggest that something revolutionary is among us, 3 years later, not a single level can compare with the effectiveness of juggling, quite like the dismantling of level 6. But recently, 2 new levels have new strategies where juggling could potentially make a comeback. Let's first discuss the most recent findings on level 3. Usually the strategy entails doing a one-way backstab on this upcoming sword draft, then using the clubman you're controlling, tank hits from the incoming arrows shooting from the archerdom. But what speedrunner Sanguine has found is that his consistency rate in beating level 3 increases when he switches to the last sword draft that approaches the enemy base, and then destroy the statue whilst everyone else defends. When I tested it, however, I found that more consistency came from using the third sword draft that comes to your base, as I found that the enemy push will target you first if you use the last sword draft. We both agree not to use the second sword draft because otherwise the archerdom will headshot your unit. The point is that we're not using the frontmost clubman anymore, so the potential for juggling is there. And in fact, I was able to beat the level, not once, not twice. This tactic, however, is about a week old at the time of recording, so more testing is needed. But it also forced me to revisit a conjecture made about Pertland. Pertland, the 7th level of the game, is one of the most frustrating roadblocks in the entire game. In my PB, I experimented with using juggling very similarly to how I did for level 6. Attack with the frontmost unit, and then juggle when the second guy arrives. Then when the push comes through, keep looking forward for a few attacks, then only look behind if no enemy sword drafts are attacking the guy you're controlling. This strat made it so you were far less likely to fail the level, but had no increase in consistency when it came to finishing the level fast. Though, when you combined it with Sanguine strats, and instead juggle with sword draft number 4, you are indeed more likely to beat the level in under 45 seconds. Does it mean that the level is in your favour? Don't be stupid, this game is still luck-based as hell. But it seems that all these years later, juggling is finally living up to the potential of being this amazing mechanic in Stick War. To end this video, I should mention that the Stick War speedrunning community is currently at its golden age. Not only did I reclaim the any percent normal world record for the 3rd time now, but that record is due to be beat anytime now. Recently, new strategies have been figured out on levels 9 and 12 that could save ass loads of time and in a very consistent manner. Leonardo, the person who first discovered these strategies, has recently swooped into 3rd place using the new tech, and has seen the results to warrant starting a world record grind. But that's not all. Sanguine is literally checking every line of code in the game to see if the community is overlooking something as he makes his comeback. And then there's Niley, the RNG-less, low percent, and any percent hard world record holder. And he has been a dark horse in the race for many years now, recently achieving a sub 1430 of his own. Hi, it's future Sammy here. Niley managed to beat the world record with a time of 1412, smashing my time by 5 seconds, and he didn't even need to YOLO level 3 to do it. Congratulations, Niley. With a fresh new route to optimize the game, and 4 active players hungry to pursue the top spot, I predict that the legendary sub 14 will happen this year. But the question is, of course, Who will get it first? Will it be me, Sanguine, Leo, Niley, or even you? Join the Speedrunning Discord server down below to join the journey and start your own climb to the top today.